Hello, my name is Stephen Lindenmeyer, and welcome back to my project, Guards and Grunts. So this playtest, as you can see, occurred one day, or basically within 24 hours of the last playtest I showed you in the last video. And this playtest was really just a quick little fix meant to test the improved equipment menu. There's some changes to it. There's also a reworked blocking system, as well as some combat improvements. So right off the bat, I was able to spawn in with no problems, and that's great. When the player opens up the equipment menu, it is side by side with the item shop, and it wasn't like that in the last build. As you can see, when I close the menu, the equipment menu slides over to the left. And when I open the shop again, it's on the right side. At this point in the playtest, I wanted to see how drastically the attack radius has been reduced. In the last playtest, it was about 30 degrees, which means it was practically 60 degrees, because it was 30 degrees from either side. I ended up cutting it in half, so that it was a total range of 30 degrees, with 15 to either side. And as you could tell, the 15-degree range of error wasn't really enough for the melee weapons, but here, as you can see, it's pretty good for the bow. This portion of the playtest also shows how when my character is in combat, I'm not able to change my weapons at all. You see, once I start shooting arrows at the target, my gear is grayed out and the items in my backpack are also grayed out, until I'm no longer in combat. In the last playtest, players were able to dodge and block attacks. However, blocking attacks would completely negate the damage that would come towards you, and I didn't necessarily want that. So this version of the build, I added block effectiveness, which is basically the percentage of damage that's going to be reduced from your incoming damage when you block it. And all the different shields have their own block effectiveness stats. Now, in the prior build, blocking and dodging was only calculated using random numbers, and it was just very inconsistent. But in this version of the build, I decided to change up both of the systems so that they would first check and compare how many hits the player has taken versus however many blocks or dodges that the player has taken. And then it would calculate it and compare it versus their actual printed stat, just like how it's shown in the equipment menu. And if the actual amount of times that they've dodged is less than their actual number from their stats, then it just guarantees it. Now here, I'm just attacking my friend here to test out the blocking and the block effectiveness. And as you can tell, it is pretty awkward. In later builds of the game, I have it so that anybody with a bow has 15 degrees of range, but anybody with a melee weapon, basically any other weapon in the game besides a bow type, is going to have 30 degrees of range, and it just improved the combat drastically. So here you can see the shields in the shop again, and as you can tell, there's Of course, more stats as you go from the common type to the uncommon type. And there's kind of a dynamic between the two different shields, where the wooden shield on the left has more block chance than the metal shield, and it's cheaper as well, requires less levels to get, so you can get it earlier. But the metal shield has more armor and much better block effectiveness. And ultimately, what a player is going to choose in a match is going to come down to what items lead after those tier 2 items, those uncommon items, so that they can plan ahead and sort of strategize in little steps. Now here, I wanted to test out the Viking Axe, which is a new weapon in this patch, which of course has a 10% chance to improve my attack speed and crit chance for 3 seconds. And so when you are attacking a character, you'll see that my stats not only change in the equipment menu, but I also get a status effect icon in the bottom left, indicating that I have the item effect from that weapon. This next playtest was meant to test selling items in the shop, gaining stats from the items you equip, as well as the revamped consumables in the consumable slots, and of course the basic AI that I added. Now immediately when I spawned in, I looked at the AI just to see how they worked in a network situation, and it is, well, just as bad as it was working in an offline game, because it was very primitive. You can see here the troops just walk past the archer, and all my friends are looking at it. Of course, the AI has improved significantly since then, and you'll see in the next video. But nevertheless, my friends wanted to playtest the build, and I was halfway through implementing the troops. Now, I go through the menus pretty quickly here, but you can kind of see how some of the items come with stats. And most of the common items don't come with any stats, but the uncommon ones do, and the rare items come with a lot of stats. And you can also see the consumables page has been updated a little bit. There's now a food item, a loaf of bread. Unlike potions, loaves of bread or food items don't give you any sickness. They restore health over time and require you to sit there and not move during the whole duration. They're much cheaper than potions, and they're just supposed to be an economic way for players to heal themselves. You also may have noticed that in the bottom left corner, you can see that there are consumables bound to keys, those being Z, X, and C, and those are the consumable slots. It got around the issue from the last build in 4.3, where when you were in combat, you could not access anything in your equipment window or anything in your backpack, and that practically made potions useless because that was the only way that you could drink them. But now that you can equip a certain amount, it shows the number of them, and it doesn't matter if you're in combat to use them from those binds. But that is practically everything new in this build of the game. It was a really fun playtest. Of course, the lane troops were half-baked at best, and they ended up not despawning because I wasn't really thinking about it, you know, causing the game to lag like crazy. But the rest of this video is just going to be me and my friends messing around with this build, seeing what we can do, a little bit of fighting. But yeah, I appreciate you watching this video for as long as you have. I hope you stick around, subscribe, hopefully like the video, share with your friends, and big things coming. So catch you later. Thank you.